It's been quite the weekend on Sportswire Radio. We started it with Jimmy controversy. You want to talk about chaos? You want to talk about conspiracies? Well, we end the weekend with a little bit of that and some, and a team called Chaos Conspiracy, which have been huge, huge topics here of Sportswire Radio. And I think over the last month, maybe even a little bit longer, our guest tonight might be the most talked about people. So either some may like them in the locker room, others certainly to be determined. We'll have to find out. Their background is very, very interesting. Obviously, our guest here in the left-hand corner, Mr. Pearson, he's no stranger to us. But our guest on the right, Mr. Cassidy, it's his first time, so we have to make sure that they both get the introductions, and especially because it's Jacob's first time, and it was the Bone Shakers' birthday yesterday. We have to make sure we give them those introductions that everybody else got, and especially if Jimmy Controversy got it on Friday, we know we have to top it and some right now. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global talk show, the team of chaos conspiracy, Jacob Cassidy and the Bone Shaker, Robert Pearson. Fellas, how you doing?
Good. Perfect. We're actually doing too damn good. You know what I'm saying? Hey, thank you for the birthday wish, man. It was definitely.
First of all, what did you do for your birthday? You're live on Sports, right? Yes, I gave you a shout out. I said that this would probably be the best birthday gift you've ever had. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I would hope it wouldn't be, because obviously you've had a lot more birthdays than this year, and I'm sure you've gotten a lot more things you'd like to get. So what exactly, sir? Forget about all things DBW for a second. Mr. Bone Shaker, Robert Pearson, what did you do for your birthday yesterday?
Spent time with some family, got to talk to some family, and drank a $90 bottle of pure white Hennessy, because that's how we do things around here.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying, a lot of people have been talking to us and talking about us and, to us and for us, and all the support and everything has been absolutely like wonderful, even for my birthday. I think this year had definitely, especially being in the wrestling scene and everything like that, it was the best birthday I could have asked for in recent times.
Now, if on my birthday, well, I was sick this year because I was very badly sick. But what I would probably have on my birthday, instead of a $90 Hennessy, now I could obviously afford the Hennessy, and I could probably buy the entire bar if I wanted to. I would just have a big gulp. So I mean, that's just my. I'm tired half the time. I need to wake up. So obviously, that's a different discussion for a different time. But I'm glad that you enjoyed the birthday. And Jacob, very nice to meet you. I have a lot of things I want to say to you guys. Obviously, we have a lot more comments. I'm going to get into them shortly in a second. But, gentlemen, I'm giving you the opportunity now to kind of introduce yourselves, and kind of in a way, before we talk a lot about some different people in the locker room who said different things about you, some good, some bad. Big Tex definitely stuck up for you guys a little bit, but some other people, not so much. So for those that are listening and watching, though, on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, gentlemen, what is the origins of Chaos Conspiracy?
You want to take the honors on that one?
I'm gonna let you take the honor, since Chaos Conspiracy is your idea.
Okay, well, I want to know about it.
Let's see. It was a year ago?
About a year ago.
About a year ago, I was watching the Bright Robert Pearson in a match with Roland Havoc and DJW.
Okay.
And I just looked right after his match. I looked at him and said, "You here now."
I thought I'd done something wrong. I thought I messed up. Because he
Well,
when
you
I
were in the ring with Roland Havoc. Maybe you didn't drink enough before the match or after the match.
I just was shocked, to be honest, because usually, other places that I have went, to train and to wrestle at in New Jersey, getting that you come here is definitely a scary thought, and it was to me because Jacob Cassidy is a veteran of
I
EBW.
was gonna say he's been around a lot longer than you. He's been
Yeah,
somebody that's been in the game a while. Not well. Nobody's been in the game as long as Roland Havoc, but certainly he's been in the game a while. Because Mr. Havoc is our elder statesman in the locker room. But point taken.
but it just everything kind of clicked. He pulled me to the side and he said, he was like, "How would you like to be my tag team partner?" And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I've watched this guy, I've watched the story of where he's coming from, and I'm just like, I wasn't thinking in my head that I was gonna go there and form a team with anyone per se. I thought I was gonna have to go there and fend for myself, like be this lone wolf in the wolf pack. And from the first day I
Well,
was
you're
in,
the bone shaker. We've established that. I've had you on already, so that I know that. That I know.
yeah. So and then ever since then, we've been put into some scenarios where tag team partners shouldn't have to be, especially facing each other and everything like that. People start to think, what is it? But it's all friendly competition. Iron sharpens iron per se, and I wanted as much as he wanted to see me succeed. I want to see him succeed, and what better way to do that than together as Chaos Conspiracy?
Absolutely. And I want to get to Jacob in a second, but it reminds me of speaking iron, sharpening iron. Growing up, there was a guy that actually he used to go around and sharpen the metal. You ever hear like want to see one of those trucks go by and they kind of ring the bell and they actually like sharpen your thing. So if you're like a handyman or somebody else like that, you'd kind of actually see that. So for whatever reason, I'm reminded of that like 75-year-old old guy year after that would drive around my neighborhood in that little van. But that's here nor there. Obviously, he had his own chaos conspiracy. But Jacob Cassidy, I mean, you've been around this sport for a while. Obviously, you've competed. You've definitely been up and down the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So what made you then go and jump to this conclusion last year after your career, your experience, that you saw something in the Bone Shaker, Robert Pearson, that you said, you know what? I want to team up with this guy. What was that? What was that? What and why?
I started wrestling it's almost been a decade.
2014, right? I think was when you debuted, if I'm not mistaken.
July of 2014. But what I saw in Rob was what I saw in myself when I first started, was the fight and determination to go.
What was that particularly that you saw in yourself 9 years ago or 8 years ago last year that specifically said, okay, this is the guy that I want to go with?
It was more of the never back down attitude.
Well, he definitely does that and some. I mean, obviously you guys have been kind of, you guys go about it a certain way, but have you always been like that though in your career, Mr. Cassidy? Because obviously we're hearing you for the first time. I know Robert a little bit because he's been on the show, but having you on, I mean, have you always been this way?
No, at one point I would always run from the fight. But a wise man told me, don't run away from the fight, always stand up.
Well, I mean, you should in a way. I mean, obviously, I would think that would certainly be the way to go about things. So, from your vantage point, and I'm going to come back to Mr. Pearson because I've had Pearson on before.
Yeah.
With this team so far, obviously in DBW, we're still trying to figure ourselves out. Certainly in EBW, you guys have been in the mix for a while now. But how do you feel in your career right now, teaming with Robert Pearson? How has that maybe benefited you so far throughout this year?
He's helped me work on a lot of things that I wasn't good at. He's basically helped me where I needed help, and I've helped him where he needed it. And just knocking on them door of the tag team titles for EBW, that's going to come close to me becoming a Grand Slam champion.
What would that mean to your career to be a Grand Slam champion?
It would achieve a lot because I'd be the youngest ever Grand Slam champion.
Wow. I really, that's interesting because as a lot of people know on Sportswire, we have on the Atomic Titan. Well, he's the Atomic freaking Titan now. And he's the first and only ever Grand Slam winner in TBW history. But yet, conversely, you would be the youngest Grand Slam winner in EBW. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if I would have known somebody that could say that. I mean, that's got to be a pretty cool feat if you guys can get the tag belts in 24.
Well, we definitely plan on taking over the whole division by storm, like we've been doing, and what signifies that is them EBW tag belts, and I just have a really good feeling deep down in my heart and my soul that we're gonna get on the same page. We're gonna show people that we really are too damn good. And then when we finally have something more to prove for other than, how we hold ourselves and the respect that we have that gold, it signifies a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to signify a lot, and it's going to silence a lot of the doubters and the haters and everything like that. I hate to say it like that.
Well, you guys have had, and I will get to comments in a second. I want to plug your social medias and the merchandise store in a second, along with DBW. But you guys have had a lot of haters these past several weeks. I mean, you've had a number of people in this locker room basically say, you guys are going about it the wrong way. You guys are in it for the wrong reasons. I mean, you get the opportunity now. You guys have heard a lot from a lot of people. Jackson Sabre was on here. Cyrus was back on here basically saying you guys, especially you, Mr. Pearson, get in the back of the line. We had the Stompers on here. You guys know them very well. Mr. Thomas Taft, T3, High Power. I mean, you've had a lot of people in this locker room, even Judgment himself. Judgment came on here and basically was like, you guys are like nobodies almost. This is your opportunity to prove all the haters, your colleagues, your peers in this locker room, to prove them wrong.
And that's truly what it's all about. Honestly, I mean, you can keep doubting, you can hate deep down in the root of your soul. You can think that we're nobodies, but that's where we have that one up because you've made an assumption about us. Now we're going to topple over that and do it better. The wrong way, I don't think anything is being done the wrong way per se.
Those guys that have come on, especially Cyrus and Judgment, or even in the past the Stompers, they've been champions. In fact, they've been tag team champions in DBW and in EBW. You guys want those belts. These are people that have had experience. They've been to where you guys want to go, though. No, so if they say something, they would be saying it for the right reasons, not wrong.
Some people want to say things to deter, and then there's a handful of people that want to say things to motivate you. Regardless of the situation, whether they're trying to deter us, because we take everything that is told us, advice wise, or just anything that is told to us in the locker room. If anybody, even on here, we take that, mush it all together.
But for you guys, though, and we're here again with Chaos Conspiracy, Jacob Cassidy and Robert Pearson. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire, and I will get to comment on a lot of them. But I mean, you have to hear those comments, and they have to. And for you, Jacob, because we're having you here for the first time, they have to hit you in a certain way because these are your peers saying things. No, I mean, it has to hit you like, if I say it, right, who am I, right? I'm a Johnny come lately. Well, I'm not a Johnny come lately. I've actually been doing this for 5 years, but the point is I'm not a wrestler, right? I'm not a wrestler. So if I'm saying it, I'm just a critic, right? But if your peers are saying it, that has to be a little different. How does that hit you, though, for you, Jacob?
It stings a little bit, but they're just underestimating us. They don't.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because they don't truly know what we're capable of. They're going to sit there and underestimate us and not go into 100%. And we will.
Do you think that they, meaning the people that have come on this show, that the ones that have criticized you, maybe not so much a Big Tex, because Big Tex, he's on the same
Love that
page.
man.
He's with you. Yeah, he
Love that
came
man.
on here and said he loves you guys. He supports you. You're on the same page. Obviously, he's got Corey Graves. You guys are in that kind of circle there. But do you think, though, that the people that have criticized you here on this platform, Sportswire Radio, that they don't think you give 100% out there in the ring? Do you think that that's what they think? You can be honest. I mean, listen, break the fourth wall if you want. If you really want to shoot on people in the locker room, I mean, look, I'll even say if Mr. Phillips is out there watching, I mean, if you really want to go down that road, if you think that there are people in this locker room that don't think you guys give 100%, by all means, we're live here, and that's what people want. They want the truth.
You know what? Like Cassidy said, it does sting a little bit, but I know that DBW management. I know that the fact that people have a lot to say only proves to us that they are keeping a close eye on us. People that are coming to say certain things, I have respect for about everybody that we've stepped in that ring with.
We know that we know. You guys definitely, you always want to give that handshake and do it the right way. But there's people in this locker room. Maybe you're right. You know what? I'll go on the record. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe these different people, these different champions, former champions, see you guys as a threat because you know what? They've been in the company a while. They've held gold. And they're seeing or they're hearing the footsteps that maybe their spot isn't so safe much longer. Maybe they see that the DBW roster is as good as anybody's in this sport right now. And you guys coming in here a little bit younger than some of the guys who might have gold that have come on here. And, they know that their time could be coming to an end. You think that's maybe what it is?
It could definitely be that. It could definitely be that. We just sit there and we see it. We see everything. We hear everything, and we acknowledge everything, and that's the most important part because you have to acknowledge it. I don't want to not take something into consideration that we should be taking into consideration, but then majority of the times I realize that we're fresh faces. We're new. We're not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's dominant breakout wrestling for a reason.
Damn straight it is. And I would dare say it's right now in this sport, this is one of the most exciting places to be. The roster has grown. Think about where the company has grown from. So there's no question that there's a long line to come to DBW. DBW's YouTube page has 3,500 subscribers. DBW has ranked wrestling stars. That's right, ranked wrestling stars. DBW is not like some other places that might be doing different things. DBW is a place, you say DBW, a lot of guys and even gals would say, how far do I got to jump and how high?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly that. And I had something said to me from someone that I really respect and I think is wise in this profession. Mm-hmm. And one thing that he had told me, and I'll just keep it anonymous.
Keep it anonymous because it will come back to yours truly on Sportswire because they'll say, what did Tom Bryce now say, especially after what I said on Friday's show? And by the way, we might be getting one of those rants again. So, I mean, definitely make sure, don't say the name.
Yeah. But one very specific and something I took to heart, and it's something that I think about when it comes to me and Cassidy and just everything that has to do with this wonderful world of wrestling. I was told that, don't go anywhere else and change who you are. Be who you are through and through, because I was told that
people see through that. Listen, people, I'll finish it for you because I do a radio show Wednesday nights, and the guy that I do the show with is a very well-known person in my community. And I always tell him, and he's, I have a background in politics, and I always tell him people want to change him. And I always tell him, I say, don't change. The people know you for what you've done in the community, for your hard work, for your whatever you've done. When you change, people see it. It's almost like, I'll give you an even better example. For those that remember, maybe some of the old fogies that remember that might be in the DBW locker room, maybe your elder statesman, when Coke was the new Coke formula, they went away from being Coke, right? They went back to Coke. Think of it that way. And it was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny, right? I'm working
Yeah,
on my.
that was funny. That was funny.
There you go. So, but the point is, never stray from who you are. Or as Corey Hart famously sang, never surrender. Never surrender who you are. Maybe right now it's not working for you, but you know what? 6 months from now, stick to your guns. Because at the end of the day, people see through that. And if you want to follow DBW, we can do that on a number of different platforms. First of all, Facebook at Dominating Backyard Wrestling. YouTube, Dominating Breakout Wrestling. 3,500 subscribers. Anytime DBW does something, if DBW takes a dump, go out there and support DBW. Twitter at DBW Wrestling. And also follow these guys, because these guys are on social media and they're called Chaos Conspiracy. They're on Chaos Conspiracy, too damn good. Robert Pearson, the Bone Shaker. Jacob Cassidy, official _Jacob_Cassidy. And if you want to rock a shirt from the guys, bonfire.com /store /chaos -conspiracy. Make sure you support these guys. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I have a lot of comments. I got to read them off, because if I don't, we'll be here till next year. Let's go rock into some of those comments. It was funny. I am trying to work on my humor there. My buddy Rod, all the way from the state of Pennsylvania, says, good afternoon, Tom. Well, not too far from you guys, but maybe far away from me. Our guest next weekend, Mr. DVG himself. He can certainly take over my shoes anytime, and maybe he can run things on Sportswire. Maybe you'll get more views, maybe get more DBW coverage. He says, my boys, obviously there's a connection there with EBW, and a guest that definitely was no fan of you, Mr. Jackson Sabre. Now, I have to ask real quick, would you say that he's got more punch or less punch than a Power Rangers saber-toothed tiger?
I would say that, considering the fact that he doesn't eat beans like a man, that
how do we know he eats beans or doesn't eat beans?
He don't like beans. Never did, and I think maybe that's his problem. I think he'd have a little bit more bark and more bite, maybe if he did have some Bush's baked beans.
So I guess he's had less success than you guys, so maybe he should be one to talk, is what you're saying.
He should absolutely be one to talk. All he was doing was going on and on and on and on. And the only thing I wanted to do was knock him out of that big denim jacket. But, with everything being said, will I say this? Is he one hell of a performer? Yes. He is a big man that can move miles.
Yeah, the short time we've seen him, he's definitely intriguing. He's an intriguing big man. I don't want to say he's an enigma, but he's a guy that I think you really might want to pay attention to a little more closely, because there's untapped potential would be the better word.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of untapped potential. And, if you've seen the footage of Chaos Conspiracy versus Golden Dynasty, he definitely has some gall to him as well, especially hitting me with my own finishing move.
No, we believe we spoke about that here on the air on Sportswire. So definitely, he may have some gall. Yep.
Yeah, he does. He does have some gall. One hell of a performer. One hell of a talent. Can't wait to step back in the ring with him again, and possibly even humble him so he could talk about Chaos Conspiracy with some respect. But other than that, what do you got to say? He's a longtime rival of yours. And y'all go way back.
I've known Sabre for 5 years.
Okay, so you got some real history with him then. Real history in the Mid-Atlantic, sure.
We started a group. It was Violence Unhinged.
Okay.
And me and the leader, Sean Newman, did not get along. He blamed me and Sabre for him losing his match. And me and him got into it. Then after that, me and Jackson hated each other ever since.
And so a lot of unfinished business there with him.
There's definitely one word I can think of when it comes to Jackson Sabre is unfinished. Or not, that's 2 words, unfinished business. 2 words.
Yeah, I just used the word. So, if you wanted to come up with a different word, You could have did that, but obviously we'll have to see. Almost, we're waiting for the punchline there. Let me get to more comments. I got a lot of people that want to say hello to you guys, and I'm way behind. Want to say hello here to Sav Queenie. So, Sav Queenie, if you haven't got a chance to, I would hope that you would subscribe to Sportswire Radio's YouTube page because we are on YouTube, and we certainly want people to watch past, present, and future DBW shows because we have a lot more DBW coverage ahead in the coming weeks and months. We always love covering DBW and everywhere else here on Sportswire. So definitely make sure you check us out. So give me a little cheap plug. I have plenty of more comments, so let me get to them. I have lots of them. Omen Black wants to say, welcome to my show. Bone Shaker, the last time I recall you were bad-mouthing me on my show. Well, enjoy my show and go shake your boy's bone when you're done. That's kind of a rhyme.
This is another guy that just keeps consistently talking and talking and talking and talking. And I've seen nothing to prove that his talk can even walk. So
he's going in different places. I won't spend a lot of comments. I won't spend too long on Omen Black because Omen was on the show last Friday, but he just was in XCW. XCW is considered to be the gold standard in underground wrestling, and they're revolutionary. I mean, he was good enough for them. I mean, so he is out there, and he's making his name, and he's cutting his teeth, and they seem to like him in different places. It's
one thing to be good enough, but then it's another to be entirely good at that standard. If he wants to go to XCW, it's great. Great. It's perfect for him. Anytime that he ever wants to show up to somewhere where I wrestle and see if he really is going to be this big bad boogeyman, or either one of us, I wouldn't mind smacking him in the mouth a couple times at all.
Well, you know what? I mean, that's a decision I'm sure that the management of DBW, they'll have to figure that out. And by the way, the links for DBW are below. And I want to say hello to my mother out there who just said that I actually look good on the video. Usually I don't look good on the video, but today I apparently
look fantastic. Okay.
Listen, sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on who I have on, what mood, what time. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you for Omen Black for you coming in. Somebody that says hello that I know was off the football field not too long ago. I don't want to say who that person might be related to, but I want to say was up to you, my friend. I hope you are doing well out there and enjoying yourself. And by the way, I want to say real quick, if you are out there, whether you are in the South, whether you are in the Mid-Atlantic or in the Northeast, please be safe out there tonight. Please be safe out there because it's really going to be very dangerous out there. I know a lot of people in Tennessee lost power out there. I know here in New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, and Maryland as well, we're looking at like some really, really devastating winds. So just stay here on Sportswire. You stay here with us. And
stay safe.
Absolutely. I really do want to make sure people stay safe out there. Really, we don't want to see and hear bad things. Want to say hello to somebody that we've had on the show and is part of a group with 3 letters, but I like to think they're in a more tenuous spot than you guys are. That is, of course, the group Ego with Mr. Austin James. My guys, the future of tag team wrestling. I see big things for you all. And Omen, go shake up another table, you Shrek-looking MF. Well, again, I will say to defend Omen, he was in XCW. In XCW, they're right up there in this sport. They're revolutionary. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't want to undermine that at all. I don't want to undermine that.
Yeah, XCW, I do a lot of work with them, and they really, XCW to me is a company that they are just like DBW here, EBW, companies that we really believe in on Sportswire. So I want to make sure that that's put out there and known. Mr. Saber would say, get in line, Jacob. With all due respect, we both know who those titles rightfully belong to. More than happy to give you boys a shot when we get them back. What do you want to say, Jacob Cassidy?
Okay. Saber, why do you even think you're going to get the tag title shots before us? You lost. You're in the back of the line.
There's a long back in DBW. In EBW, there's a long line of teams there. I mean, a lot of teams there. I almost think I almost need to flip a coin or almost do one of those remember when they had one of those Raws and they were trying to figure out who would be in those old Taboo Tuesday shows. I almost think we need one of those lotto draw, the lotto balls, and just figure out who do we have in the roster, and then let's see who becomes the number 1 contender.
Just wait and see. And if you really want a good bet, you can bet on Chaos.
Well, you know what? I'm going to certainly find out, in the coming weeks on Thunder Punch shows coming up. Yeah, those tag team ships belong to Ego, and they're coming home next year. Well, right now, if we're talking DBW, they belong to the Heretics. They belong to the Heretics. And I think Ego's got a lot of problems. I mean, don't you think that Ego's got a lot of problems in DBW right now?
I love Ego. I
But
absolutely
they
love
seem
Ego.
like they don't have much of an ego to really boast of anything these days. Havoc lost the World Extreme title. The Blaze Ace Christian, I mean, Mr. Judgment humbled him. I mean, Colin Graves doesn't know if he's got his smile back. And, Austin's had his own issues. I mean, they don't seem to have much of an ego. You guys might have more egos these days than them.
Hey, with all due respect though to Ego, yeah, it may look like things are a little iffy right now, but you can't ever count Ego out. Just because
Well, I'm not counting them out. I got a lot of respect for them. I'm just saying that right
they
now,
do sort of have a little bit of friction. You can
I
definitely
can
tell.
100%. Listen, and that's what we're saying here. Their friction the last few months since World War. I mean, they've added people, but they haven't had the success that they had earlier in the year. That's all.
And I will say this: when friction is there, you can either dud out or you can make flames.
Well,
Maybe
it's
they
like
can
what
take this
Jacob said
situation-
earlier. You don't surrender. You don't give up. All right, well, let me get to some more comments. Hello, gentlemen. Honorary member of Chaos Conspiracy here.
That's our dog right there.
Big Tex himself. What
Big
do you want to say?
Tex.
What do you want to say to Big Tex?
How are you doing, bro? When are you gonna come out to come hang out with your boys, man? That's what I'd like to know, Tex. We definitely got to schedule something up and definitely have to hang out with Tex more. Dude is an absolute goat in my eyes.
Mhm.
I mean, he just has a big heart, even bigger fist, especially when it comes flying at your face. But glad you're here, brother. Sit here and enjoy the show.
So, what did you think of Big Tex on Sportswire Radio earlier this week? What was your impressions of that, gentleman?
I was absolutely proud of him. He did amazing, and watching him made me then want to think, well, I know I'm gonna be on here again. You know what I'm saying? And now I got to follow up from the work that Big Tex put in. You know what I'm saying?
Follow from what Tex did, and not one of them will be the same.
Yeah, it's just like I think you guys had a very good interview, and he definitely he talked about a lot of things that he needed to talk about.
Okay, well, we'll certainly see about that. No question that maybe we will see more from Mr. Big Tex. I got a lot of comments. Let me try to get to as many of them as I can. Mr. James got jokes. Figured somebody in ego needed to have a sense of humor. Well, they don't have much of an ego these days. Bless you, Jacob. And he's
Thank you.
here, our
Oh,
champion, Mr. Judgment himself. And anything you want to say to him?
You filthy sex, you are fresh souls to consume. We're fresh souls. But once again, Judgment, our souls are not yours for the taking. And even you thinking about that, even having that thought, well, that definitely not only puts you at a disadvantage, but that means something for us. Thanks for being here, and thanks for watching us very closely, Judgment. Whenever you want to, how can I put this? Because he is the final boss. I don't want to undermine that. I have nothing but respect for Judgment, even though he beats the piss out of his own children.
But listen, maybe for good reasons. He's the one that's on the top of this sport. He's the one that's ranked. I mean, listen, I'm not going to get into beating people's children up because we are live on Sportswire, and somebody will certainly say, "What are you saying? What are you endorsing?" So I'm going to leave that there. Let me move off from that. We'll move away from that because I'm tongue tied. Oh, Mr. Saber, a.k.a. Mr. Cobblepot, yes, I got jokes, but I'm not joking. I'm coming back next year with intentions to take over EBW and DBW because I got something to prove. So if I was y'all, stay out of the way. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to let those guys sort that self out. Fresh faces, a new movement in DBW. We'll
Got
have
that
to
right,
see.
Tex.
Right now, the guys on top, though, they ain't letting their spot go anytime soon. Then I want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Michael Blackheart. Obviously, his father-in-law is Mr. Festus Davis, referee in XCW, and he says the Majestic Beard is back for you, sir, which is we talked about that on the show last time. Stay true to who you are. Don't change for no one. There's only one of you, so that be the best that you can be. And he also says, stay true to yourself. Don't change who are there. There's only one of you. Stay humble. Be the best you can be. Good enough.
Absolutely.
And Omen says AJ looks like dirtier than Joe Dirt. I mean, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Joe Dirt in a while, but now you're making me think about Joe Dirt. So I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But stage, yep, he said the same comment. Jacob, you resemble Mr. Ballin on YouTube.
We're gonna have to figure out
Whoever that is.
Well, let's move on. Chaos Conspiracy, you're all good. And the future, I swear Robert Pearson is a paleontologist. He just loves digging up old things. I know. Are you a paleontologist, by the way?
I happen to not to be. That's not something I was in my profession. But I can tell you that at some point I was a flagger, and right here I'm seeing all the red flags because if Saber just keeps running his mouth like this,
Well, they say it's a good job to be a flagger, a very important job to be a flagger. You know, they say that being a flagger, you know, you have important directions you may have to give. No?
absolutely, and it's all about the safety. So Jackson Saber, for your safety, you know, paleontologist, that's a good one. Digging up old things, because if we're really going to talk about old things here, what about the I can't with this. I have so much.
All right, well, if you're tongue-tied, I'm going to move on because I got a lot more comments and I got to move them down the line. I'd rather look like Joe Dirt than someone who looks like that can do a match because they looks like they can't do a match and get. Well, I don't know what he's implying about the 2 minutes, but I know that that's not Omen Black because I've watched Omen Black in the ring. So that I'm actually going to stick up Omen Black on 1,000% because I've watched him in the ring a lot. Omen, I heard you knew my name. Finally, thank you. Obviously, from XCW. And he also wants to say thank you to his dad, Festus Davis, and he respects the hell out of him. I love Festus Davis. Festus is one of my favorite referees around. And he also says, raise your hand if you agree. The Reverend is the voice of backyard wrestling. This man makes my day every time I get a chance to tune in. I want to thank you for that. If I want to break the fourth wall, I want to thank you because I get a lot of messages. And I want to say this, by the way, gentlemen, you can basically hold the phone, cover your ears. I will always defend backyard wrestling. And I said this, Rand, on Friday's show, and I said this yesterday even. I am sick and tired of independent, quote-unquote, pro wrestlers who sit on their soapboxes and go out there and demean and bemoan people who wrestle in the backyard when they need to look at themselves. They're about 10 years past their expiration date. They can only get about 50 followers on Instagram or Facebook. They come on to platforms like this, and they get maybe 1 or 2 people at most who watch, and they can't sell no more than 3 or 4 tickets, usually they're family members, to see them on a show, and they probably will do more harm to themselves than their opponent. And it's clearly a sign that Father Time has passed you by, and you're jealous of the fact that backyarders come on Sportswire like the types of Omen Black, CJ Black, James Taylor, Jack Delta, the Atomic Titan, maybe even these guys if they go in the backyard, previous backyarders that have come on the show. My guest yesterday, D'Angelo LaFlame, I mean, Joshua Allen, the Painmaker. I mean, you can name them all, even Craven Rage of all people. These guys come on here and they, obviously have more followers. They come on here, people talk about them more. People certainly want to hear what they have to say on their mind. And when these guys come on here, clearly those independent past their prime, Father Time, nobody cares about you anymore, clearly are jealous of the fact that these guys come on here, and clearly more people want to hear them, and more people seem to want to tune in. So clearly talk about people that are kind of holding or maybe looking to hold down those that might be in a spot that they wish to be. Maybe it's time to revisit yourselves in the mirror. And maybe it's time to think about doing something else, whether it's being at the old age home, whether it's maybe going on a diet or two, whether it's just basically stay away from it. Now, I want to say this here real quick. I do want to say, because I know I'm really going to rant here. My name is Reverend Tom Bryce. Follow me on YouTube, and if you want to get me on social media and have a problem with what I'm about to say, I am going to say it. There was a guy that came on here on Sportswire Radio, and he was, quote unquote, his name was Kyle, and he was going on my show for over a year talking about every British professional wrestler. He was going to go at them, and he was going to fight them, and he was the top guy in this sport, and he wrestled a match, I kid you not, about 8 months ago, and he basically is on the shelf probably for over a year, and hopefully never comes back to a ring because he couldn't do a hip drag completely. I mean, this guy got injured for over a year on a hip. I've never heard that before. I mean, listen, you could put Vince McMahon wouldn't even get injured 77 on a hip drag. So clearly, sir, there are people like you that don't belong in this sport. And clearly, guys like you complained when another person, another yarder from Legendary Backyard Wrestling, CJ Junt, had posted something. And you went on his page to complain about him 4 or 5 months ago. You and another guy, Remus Kane, a.k.a. Joshua Snow, whose company closed yesterday, and booked himself in the final show to be the world champion. So I'm sick and tired of these independent pro wrestlers who come on and say they're this, and that, but meanwhile make sure they book themselves as champions. They make sure that they go out there and want to hold everybody else down. So I'm just going to say right now, yeah, you're damn straight. I'm proud to be the voice of the Backyard Wrestling. I'm damn straight proud to be the supporter of the semi-pro, underground, whatever it is, because wrestling is wrestling, and people don't go out there when it comes to a pickup basketball game and tell those guys on the pickup, on the schoolyard, the playground, that they shouldn't go play basketball. So if you're an independent pro wrestler and you come on here and you bemoan and belittle backyard wrestlers, maybe it's time to look in the mirror. That's all I'm going to say further about that. So that's my rant there, fellas. You can take it for whatever you want. You say nothing about it. I'm going to get to some more comments here. It's like ever since Ego added Ace Christian, it's been all downhill for the dominant force known as Ego. Well, you know what? That's exactly my point there, and some. Big Tex will say, I will show up and surprise everyone. Well, you know what? You made that case. Now let's see if you can do it on Thursday Night Thunder Punch episodes coming up 9, 10, and 11, and for next season as well. You know what's a red flag? Well, I'm going to say nothing on that. I am going to certainly say nothing on that. Chaos Conspiracy are the futures of DBW, ever-growing tag team division, future champs. I would dare say that the tag division in DBW is as stacked as anybody's out there. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to win those belts. I have something to say about that. Certainly, Ego's going to have something to say about that. The Heretics, and oh, by the way, a group that might be coming to Sportswire real soon, the Brooklyn Prodigies, going to have something to say about that.
Ooh, I love the Prodigies.
Gentlemen, I'll handle Saber. You go after the tag titles. Let me handle the dirty business. Well, you know what? I think the Stompers still have something to say about Big Tex. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you, my friend, on that. Chaos and Ego, I got into the business watching y'all and the rest of BBW. Also, with my favorite XCW, I respect you guys and I enjoy what everybody else does. And amen to that. Speaking of people, we're going to be back real soon, Mr. Painmaker himself. And it looks like Big Tech screw his horns back, but let's see where the confidence grows when you're starting the ceiling and with the referee raising my hand. So we'll see if he's staring at the ceiling and Jackson Saber's hand is being raised. But my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, and the owner of Sportswire Radio. And if you are on Sportswire Radio and you want to check us out, you can always watch us past, present, and future shows. And maybe the guys that were professional wrestlers in England who have no followers, or maybe some of the independent pro wrestlers here in the U.S. and have a handful of views on prior shows. You can check those out and then check out, most importantly, the present and future shows of guys like from EBW, DBW, Chaos Conspiracy, IMF, TBW, RWW, where they get hundreds of views and hundreds of more impressions on Instagram and elsewhere. You can do that on our YouTube link. You can also check us out anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year on all Sportswire Radio platforms, but especially sportswireradio.org, where you can watch also any shows like this one, listen live. We have a radio station where if you want to put your own podcast out there, if you want to be a DJ, if you want to do a better job than I do, you can do that anytime. Get in touch with us. And we also have a blog out there. So if you want to go out there and have your voice heard and via the writing with the pen and the paper, you can do that here at tumblr.com at Sportswire Radio. We've got a real treat tomorrow night in your chair, gentlemen, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We have got Hardcore himself. He is going to talk about his death match coming up January 6th, the North Haven Massacre, not too far from you guys, in the state of Connecticut, over at the TF Crew against Friday's guest, the renowned Jimmy Controversy. What a match that's going to be. Jimmy Controversy versus Hardcore. Hardcore tells us his side of the story coming up tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, on all Sportswire radio platforms. Also Thursday night to return right after XCW Encounters Episode 1, Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer, the first real wrestler, Mr. Parsley's himself, Justin Parsley, is back in the house to get inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Stay tuned. We have a lot more guests coming on the pike. We have DVGs next week. We're also going to have a lot more, and I promise you, just stay tuned, support us here. But we have a ton of comments here, and I want to catch my breath, so let's get back to the people here. So it doesn't matter what ring you wrestle in, is all you need is to tear the roof off. Amen to that. But you know what? I don't want to make this all about that. I want to talk about for you guys. Obviously, this year is coming to an end, right? We're going into 2024. I know we might have some loose ends coming up in DBW Thunder Punch episodes. Stay tuned to the DBW platforms for more information on that. We'll certainly plug that back in a few minutes. But gentlemen, for you guys, what are your goals here in 2024?
Listen, I believe I speak for both of us here when I say that after the losses that we're taking this year, and that could just be in any form, because you take losses outside of the ring too. From everything that has happened this year, I know that we fully intend to bounce back and to make an impact, to completely break out, to make this whole world our playground, essentially. Could that mean, do I want to get bold and cocky and say that any other tag team out there with gold isn't safe because Chaos Conspiracy is here? Yes, I'd love to say that. But from a more realistic standpoint, we're going to strive. And wherever we go, we're going to grab the brass rings. Yeah. And, go ahead, add on, because I know you definitely had a lot of thoughts about this upcoming year and what it means for Chaos.
I at least want to go in, or for 24 in general, to become EBW tag team champions and possibly DBW.
I think EBW, you guys have been the number one contenders, and I think that that's something. You guys have defeated the Stompers in EBW. You guys have been up in there. Certainly Ego will expect them to be back. I think there's no question in EBW, you guys are right there. DBW is a very deep tag team division. The Brooklyn Prodigies are coming on to Sportswire before the year is out. The Heretics are at the top. Ego, if they get it right one day, are going to certainly want to crack. The Stompers are here with us a few weeks ago, and they've held those titles, and they certainly made a very valid point, which I agreed with them on, into the fact that they lost the titles but never really got a rematch for them. So you've got a lot of tag teams in this division, and I think the DBW division would be, certainly where you guys are going to really have your work cut out for you. And how do you guys then do that in DBW? EBW, I got that. EBW, I know you guys are right there, and I think it's right there for the taking. But in DBW, with all those teams I just mentioned, I'm going to hear from the Brooklyn Prodigies before the year is out, and they're going to tell me, and they're in Jimmy Controversy's promotion. So these guys, they might be guys that they might jump you over the ladder to get those shots at the Heretics. What are you guys going to do then to possibly get in that mix in DBW and take those belts?
What I truly believe is that, there is certain things that we do have to sharpen up. Mm-hmm. There is a vast tag division in DBW, along with, these are guys that I respect. These are guys that I've been watching. With that being said, we just have to be one step ahead, essentially. And no, scratch that. Not even one step ahead. We need to be 10 steps ahead. Yeah, and that's exactly what is going to be intended. Maybe.
Well, you don't want to be like that Def Leppard song years ago in The Last Action Hero. I'll be 2 steps behind. You don't want to be 2 steps behind, because it might have worked for Def Leppard, but I don't think it's going to work for you guys. So I would try to at least be 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, we will. That is the main goal, is to be steps ahead. Maybe it'll do something for the morale of me and Cassidy for to win the EBW tag belts, to have that, maybe that puts a sense of, you, at that point you have to acknowledge Chaos Conspiracy as a formidable
So
tag
are
team if you're
you
not already
telling
in.
me that the first step is to win the EBW belts, and then that gives you kind of that momentum that says, you know what, okay, I can go and go into DBW, and then with all these teams, I got momentum that'll carry me to where maybe I can get those belts.
Precisely, and with it's all in all just. I'll quote a song. Pink Floyd, another brick in the wall. All it is, just
That
another
was a
brick
good
in the
one.
wall.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Although I'll probably not date myself. I actually knew it through the Korn version because Korn did a cover of it. Actually, that was actually I thought that was kind of funny. So I think some of the younger people be like, yeah, you know what? I might have knew the Korn version first, but that was a good one. That was a good one. I'll give you that. I have a good question though from Michael. Michael always asks great questions. He asks this a lot to a lot of the wrestlers that come on that he's hearing of for the first time. I want to ask you guys this question because it's a great question, and I don't want to answer it. I want you guys to answer it. What's your one message in wrestling?
I'm gonna let you go first. I want you to say your message because maybe my message isn't entirely the same as yours. And I've been talking a lot. I've been talking a lot. I know the people want to hear from the prodigal son.
One message: never think you're bigger than the sport itself. There's always room for improvement.
And my one message would to be to no matter what, always keep safety in the front of your mind. Don't go into wrestling. Don't go into profession and throw safety and caution out the window. Safety is the
Hey,
number
look
one.
at even what happened with Charlotte Flair on SmackDown. I mean, Charlotte Flair, right, does a moonsault against Asuka, and probably now she's going to be out for who knows how long. You just never know out there. Even the most quote unquote safest wrestlers, experienced wrestlers. That was like my point earlier about when some of these quote unquote independent nobody pro wrestlers quote unquote go out there and bemoan backyarders. But the facts are is they're the actual unsafe ones, and they might have been trained, but accidents do happen. And if you don't look out for the other person, like anything else in life, things can happen.
Exactly. You could end up with some type of freak accident. All it takes is a millisecond for
Hey,
something to
look at
happen.
what happened years ago with Draws and D'Lo Brown. I mean,
Yeah.
I said it here in prior shows. Draws basically was paralyzed, and he was never the same in his life. And D'Lo Brown was never the same. So you never know out there. I mean, Owen Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Owen Hart broke Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck SummerSlam '97 on a pile driver. I mean, he never really did a pile driver before. Owen Hart, right, one of the most, God rest his soul, who unfortunately in a cruel fate had one of the most unfortunate accidents, I would say, in life, not even wrestling, but he was considered to be the most safest wrestler around. And, things can happen out there. Okay, let's get to some more comments. I have a good one here. Any other members of Chaos Conspiracy, or is it just you guys and possibly Big Tex? What do you say to that?
Well, I'd hope that soon maybe won't just be a possibly with Big Tex.
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually do have another member of Chaos Conspiracy. He in EBW. You will know him as EJ Rodriguez, the Puerto Rican
Yes.
prodigy.
Yes, of course.
He's definitely a fresh new face, fresh new talent, and I seen what the kid's about, and just like how Cassidy, how I reminded him of a piece of him. EJ does the exact same with me. And EJ, if you're watching, or if you do end up watching, keep up the good work. Super proud of you, and we're gonna kill it together.
I have to throw out there, you know what, and I always do this here as we're in the middle of the show. We're here talking with Chaos Conspiracies, Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire. Speaking of potential members, right, for DBW for a second, right now, next Sunday in your chair, I've actually got a guest that you might be very curious about. 9 o'clock Eastern time. And speaking of Big Tex, somebody that's very close to Big Tex, and his name is Corey Graves. Now, Corey Graves is coming to Sportswire Radio next Sunday night. And I was wondering, obviously, Big Tex is a possibility. You guys kind of answered it, but Corey Graves is a guy that has had success in DBW, not so much until recently with Big Tex, but he's been to the promised land. He's been a guy that's been here in this sport. And, if you're going to add members and kind of compete and, stand up to the ranks of Divinity or even with the High Power and everybody else out there that's, so competitive in DBW, what about a Corey Graves or anything you might want to say about him as we broke the wall here that he's coming to Sportswire Radio in your chair Sunday night next week, 9:00 Eastern?
I think Corey would be a great member of Chaos.
Yeah.
The offer's there because I've seen what he can do in the ring, and he was the one to help Big Tex with us. Was not just.
And Big Tex said it that he stayed by your guy's side, and he could have left and he could have turned his back, and he didn't do that. And he's also been a guy that maybe, I know you've been there, you've been at the top, but for a guy like you, he could be maybe a guy that you could lean on, get that advice, get that ability to say, he could pass that knowledge on to me. I could take that. Maybe that's a kind of member that you need.
I mean, Corey Graves is definitely a primetime player. Like he knows the big time.
World Extreme champion, absolutely.
He's touched gold before. He's been graced by it. I definitely the hand is extended. There's plenty of room in Chaos for some Graves. It's all a matter of it'd be all up to him. It'd all be in his ballpark.
Well, you know what? So then could I maybe ask him that question next Sunday? Would you like me to bring that up?
You could definitely bring that up because I am curious to see what goes on inside the mind of Graves. I would definitely love to see what he would say.
Well, I'm going to ask him. So he's going to be here live. He's going to be in your chair next Sunday, 9:00 Eastern time on all Sportswire Radio platforms. He's going to also talk a lot about some of the same people that have been giving you guys flack. And he's going to talk about some of the same criticisms or maybe some of the same conspiracies that has been maybe using Big Tex, using you guys. And I'm going to ask him those very questions. If you want, I'll ask it to him.
I definitely would.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do that here. And apparently, before I get to that individual, who, again, we announced, by the way, Corey Graves live next Sunday, 9:00 Eastern time on all Sportswire Radio platforms, I want to say hello to the very lovely Zena, our very good friend Zena in Brooklyn, New York. She's a big fan, not a big fan of me, but a big fan of you guys. And she's very happy to see you guys here on Sportswire. She loves the DBW coverage. She loves when I ran about all the independent wrestlers and how they should shut their mouth and just shut the hell up and let the backyard guys come on the Sportswire. I was only kidding about that part, but maybe not so much. But obviously, she's here. She wants. It was funny. I thought it was funny. I'm working on my humor, but it's true. It's maybe sad but true, to quote Metallica from the Black Album, but it's here nor there. But I want to say hello to that very, very beautiful young lady. But Mr. Graves is here, and he gives a caps lock the boys, and he also says, "Shut up," to another nemesis of yours. I guess I'm fighting words with Mr. Graves. And Mr. Graves, I was speaking to Mr. Graves off the air. Mr. Graves said that he's got a story that he wants to share, almost like in Biggie's Life After Death album. He almost had a story I got to tell. It was going with that little music in the background. It's almost like maybe that's going to be great with the black and white in the background. It's almost going to be like maybe the notorious Corey Graves is going to be here and share his story that he's got to tell. We bust out things on Sportswire. Did that, not even practicing it, but he's here, and I guess a lot of people will be looking forward to it because he gets a chance to share his story, and he really hasn't shared his story in a long time.
Hasn't. Definitely be interesting.
Okay, well, I'm gonna certainly do that. We want Chaos to run wild in DBW. Let's get it rolling. We'll see. Cassidy has history with Max Knight in EBW. What are your thoughts on his last action at the last EBW show? What do you want to say about that, the prodigal son, Jacob Cassidy?
I didn't expect It was Max Knight versus Jackson Sabre.
Yep.
Jackson Sabre, as much as I hate him, he gave respect to Max. And then he did the unthinkable. He turned, as Sabre shook his hand, Sabre turned around and Max kicked him below the belt.
Isn't that and doesn't that go what we've been saying here on Sportswire, at least in DBW land, that when you want to go out and do it the right way and respect everybody and put your hand out for a handshake, that this sport is a dog-eat-dog world, and that's exactly what happened there, no?
That is precisely what had happened. You can't really ever count Max Knight out either. You can definitely tell that there was some frustration from him, being a former champion now. Not only that, I think that just hitting Sabre below the belts, it did something more. It impacted him more because now, this loyal fan base that he's had, they're going to start questioning things, and they're going to start thinking that the math's not mathing. And I don't know if they might like this side of Max. I tried talking to him after the incident.
So what was that like? What was the conversation?
Well, I'd love to tell you there was a conversation, but as a former opponent of his, he kind of had just shoved me out the way and blew it off.
Blew it off like nothing happened.
And that's not normal,
Yeah.
Maybe there was something that we don't know about. Maybe there was something that went on between them that, maybe that's for a conversation that they would have to share. And maybe it's whether it's on this platform or whether it's somewhere else. And, Mr. Sabre would like to say that might have to make myself some red dragon scale boots. One time I try to be nice and people wonder why. I'm an a-hole. What did I say here on Sportswire? What have other people been saying here on Sportswire? There you go.
I mean, my best bet for your advisory, Max Knight did say he was coming for all of Golden Dynasty. I would just steer clear of him, after what happened to the Giblets this time. There's only a certain amount of times that you can have that happen to you before it becomes a problem. And clearly, Max Knight has no problem.
They're doing it.
Doing it to you.
Every time.
So I guess maybe Mr. Sabre should take some of his own advice that he was sharing here with us when he was in your chair about 2 weeks ago, no?
Yeah. He definitely should take that advice.
Well, you know what? It takes one to know one. Don't they always say that in life?
Yeah.
That was funny. I've been working on the humor, slowly but surely. It took me a while, but I think I'm getting the hang of it after 5 years. Obviously, my 5-year anniversary is next month, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of this here. All right, I want to ask you then a follow-up on this. As we're talking here with Chaos Conspiracies, Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy. My name is the Reverend Time Boyson, and tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Hardcore is going to be here, the renowned deathmatch star. We're going to talk about his match with Jimmy Controversy coming. Obviously, Jimmy Controversy, a living. Now, this is an independent wrestler that you can get behind. That's an independent wrestler in Jimmy Controversy that you can definitely support. And obviously, he's wrestled the likes of Tommy Dreamer and Pitbull, Gary Wolf, and Gene Snitsky, and, he's the man. He likes this platform, which is great. But that's here nor there. I've kind of been asking different people, and now I want to get Jacob's perspective. Because, Robert, I asked you this question before, but now you've gotten a chance to digest anything. Jacob, I know you've heard these shows, you've watched them, you hear, but, some wrestlers go about it, and they go about it for the money. They go about it for the fame, the women, if you want to say that. And then there are others like, you guys have been going about it for the fans the right way, but you get left by the dust. After hearing what other people have said, Jacob Cassidy, do you still feel like you guys are going about it the right way, and this path that you're going on will lead you guys to the eventual success that some of these people that say, Tom, yeah, I'm going about it because in this sport, it's only about gold. It's only about the money. It's only about the women. I mean, what do you say to all that?
My opinion, going about it for the fame, the money, the women is the wrong way. I see it more being for the fans or just in general, just a passion to do it. Because when you're only in it for the fame, you're not going to better yourself, and people are going to actually see what you're doing.
Okay.
And I truly seen it being about the passion, going about it the right way.
Do you think that those people that have come on here and their names obviously speak for themselves, that they don't have the passion?
Maybe they have passion, but maybe they have the passion in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fair assessment. If you want to follow the guys, before I get to my next question, a very good question for you guys. Check you guys out on YouTube. Chaos Conspiracy, Too Damn Good. Robert Pearson, The Bone Shaker. Jacob Cassidy Official _Jacob _Cassidy. And if you want to buy a shirt, rock some merchandise, bonfire.com /store /chaos -conspiracy. I know my lovely friend Zena will have to make sure she buys a shirt because basically it'll be on me. So the credit card will be in my name. You just buy the shirt. It's a joke, just being funny. But I have a good question, a serious one. What's a dream match for you guys, whether it's singles action or as a group? It could be anywhere. I mean, just whatever the way you want to interpret this. What would be some of your dream matches?
Man, a dream match per se.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd love to see and this might sound like a little favored, but I definitely think that Chaos Conspiracy should be in the mix-up for the next TLC matchup that BBW has. That's definitely a dream match of mine. It doesn't matter what teams are in it because all the teams got nothing but respect, and they are talented wrestlers. But it is definitely a dream match to be in that be in some type of fatal four-way TLC, and definitely outperform.
What about for you?
I'm gonna slide on to the solo side.
Good.
There's two wrestlers I would like to step in the ring with, which is Aaron Jones and Roland.
Great one. That's a great one.
Definitely love me some Aaron. Love me some
Aaron Jones. That's a great one. Wow. And was there somebody else you had too? You said Aaron Jones, and was there somebody else?
Roland Havoc.
What? Well, I would have loved to have seen if he had the World Extreme title, but now he doesn't have the World Extreme title anymore. So maybe it's good to get Roland Havoc now because he doesn't have the gold anymore. He's the year run as champion. Maybe you got him. He's ripe for the taking now, Roland Havoc.
Yeah.
And Aaron Jones, can I ask you guys a follow-up question on Aaron Jones? I mean, you think Aaron Jones really is Chase Wakefield's best friend? You think that Aaron Jones sees that relationship the same way Chase Wakefield does?
No.
I personally don't think. I don't think it's gonna work out.
You don't think so? Why not? Why don't you think so? Why don't you think it was gonna work out for?
Considering the fact that such a bold claim is being made, the fact that they're best friends, and
seems like it was forced.
I went to a Sheets one time and I seen Chase Wakefield and Aaron Jones at the same time, and
yeah,
and let's just say it was just it was pretty bad. You ever watch a child just walk around and try to get attention?
I do it every day of my life. I'm always trying to get attention. What else?
And when I seen them in the Sheets one time, I went over there just to get myself something to eat, and Chase had his I Heart Aaron Jones shirt on, and I remember specifically asking him where I could get that shirt.
Yeah, what was the answer? I'd love to know.
And I mean, just as thin as what Chase Wakefield actually is, that was the patience that Aaron Jones had for him.
Well, could you imagine Chase Wakefield outside right now in these torrential storms and these tornadoes? I mean, dude, I don't know if Chase
Someone
Wakefield
better take
is in the next country right now.
Someone better take a thumbtack and pin him to a board or something. That's gotta be.
You ever hear the story? You ever hear the story? Listen, you ever hear the stories of the people that get like lost in the Bermuda Triangle?
Oh my goodness! He better invest in something other than Bitcoin right now. He's gonna.
Well, I mean, obviously he says he's a millionaire. I mean, if I'm Aaron Jones, maybe that's why Aaron is could be friends with him. Maybe he sees the Bitcoin. Maybe he sees the crypto.
That's if they were friends. You know, I don't really see it. I don't know.
see it.
Well, Thomas Taft, I mean, was certainly bought as a friend, quote unquote, earlier this year in DBW, quote unquote,
Yeah,
quote
yeah,
unquote.
quote unquote. We're gonna put the quote on top. Put the quote.
Open and close quote. So you open the quote and close the quote. That's basically how. And Jackson Saber actually says that. Yeah, I have to say that's the one thing I say this year in the locker room is that most people in the entire locker room seem to share the same opinion on Chase, except Aaron Jones. Except so far, Aaron Jones.
I mean, it didn't really. It didn't take long for me to have the feelings I have for Chase after he had DDT'd me onto a bunch of tables.
True. Yeah, he definitely did, make his presence felt.
It's just his voice.
Just his voice.
Just his voice.
Just his voice.
I hated him once I heard him talk for the very first time. I hated him.
Wow.
Really punchable face.
Could we see Jacob Cassidy versus Chase Wakefield at some point?
Yeah, I'd do it.
That'd be an interesting match. I tell you what, that would be a match. I mean, if somebody's out there, But speaking of people that want to say something towards you, if you could, and you want to hear it, I'd love to bring up this comment from our global champion himself. The man said a lot about both of you guys. The Itch Factor Cyrus. He says, chaos conspiracy, nothing chaotic about the both of you. What do you want to say to that?
First, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Secondly, nothing chaotic. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Where the years come to the end, and we have a lot more days in the year coming up than what we did in this season of DBW.
But you do know that a lot of people are going to say this year, you guys in DBW for the DBW fans on Sportswire, that you guys didn't have the same results that you had in EBW.
Hey, sometimes you go to a different place, you don't get them same results, and this all leads back to backpedaling to what I said before and don't change yourself. Sometimes you can look at it as if you can't make it, you break it. But sometimes you can look at it as maybe what you don't see as chaotic now will end up coming back around to you like a cycle of karma. And it may even cost him something,
He's got the gold though right now. He's the global champion.
He does very well have that gold. And so speaking for Chaos Conspiracy, I think either one of us would be glad on taking that belt off of him and humbling him.
It'd be mighty nice.
Would be absolutely mighty nice. And to say, if you were thinking why, think why not? What other way to prove yourself?
He said though that guys like you are at the back of the line.
Back of the line. It's okay. I've been in the back of the lines plenty of times, and I've always worked my way all the way back up, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
All right, we'll see. But before I come back to that, want to thank Michael for tuning in. He says, one last rant. You guys seem great and respectful. Look forward to binge watching your matches, which you can do in the links below. Also, Chaos Conspiracy, too damn good on YouTube. And also, he says, Reverend, you better be ready for Mutton Chop Mania. Well, I guess, wouldn't I win that one? Because, how many people have mutton chops? Shouldn't I win that one at least? It may not win much, but shouldn't I at least win that one? Because how many people have mutton chops?
I think it's a given. I think it's definitely a given.
I would think that one I have to win because I don't know anybody that has mutton chops. At least if somebody knows somebody, let me know, and maybe we'll have a conversation about it, or maybe not. But I have a lot more comments here. Took down you, Pearson. Next up, which is what we talked about here when Cyrus was back on Sportswire. And if you're worth it, Jacob Cassidy. What do you want to say, Jacob?
Say what you need to say.
Cyrus, I would wrestle you anytime, anywhere. I don't care.
Yeah.
You always talk about the Book of Cyrus. I was in the tournament and I lost, yes, to Scorpion. But I was close to you. Put me in the ring with you. I will out wrestle you. At the mindset I am, with all the stuff that you are saying, I will go into the match 110%.
Okay, well, you know what? We'll see if you get another crack. Obviously, we have a lot of DBW coverage ahead here coming up. And if you want to watch all the shows, Thursday Night Thunder Punch episodes will be coming very shortly to DBW's YouTube page, which you can go there and check him out at Dominating Breakout Wrestling. So stay tuned for that. DBW has almost 3,500 subscribers, and we are certainly very, very excited. Also, again, more DBW coverages ahead, back-to-back shows this weekend. We've got DVG Saturday night. Time to be determined because I have a Christmas party to go to. So I don't remember what time we said DVD, but I'm going to have to push it back later in the evening because I have a Christmas party to go to. If I don't go to this, I will literally have a bullet in my head. Well, I won't have a bullet in my head. Just look awkward. So it was funny. And then Sunday night, 9 o'clock, though, Corey Graves. It was funny. I was trying to be funny, but no.
You're doing swell. You're doing great.
I heard that word before, swell, but not in a minute. But I have a funnier comment here. I saw Rubber Mask at Spirit Halloween. I thought they had a Chase Wakefield merchandise. Well, but I would love to know, who do you think owns Chase Wakefield merchandise? So who would be out there other than Chase Wakefield that would own his merchandise? I mean, you don't think Aaron Jones secretly has Chase Wakefield merchandise lying around somewhere?
If I find out that Aaron Jones secretly has Chase Wakefield merch, I will invest in Bitcoin right now.
Yeah.
I would invest in Bitcoin right
All
now.
money I have, I'll invest it.
Wow. Ooh, well, you know what? I guess maybe Aaron Jones may have to answer that question, and he maybe even Mr. Wakefield here. You know, obviously, as we're coming toward the last parts of the show, about over 20 or 31 minutes here with the guys, obviously, really, really appreciate that they're with us again. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have Voice of Wrestling. Again, Monday night, tomorrow, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Hardcore. You will not want to miss what Hardcore has to say about Jimmy Controversy. Jimmy Controversy was here Friday. He said a lot about Hardcore. Hardcore responds and some. You know, but when it comes to, though, the Stompers and High Power and T3, you know, these guys have gotten the best of you in DBW, but in EBW, the tables have been kind of turned. So they said a lot about you guys. I want to give you the opportunity to say something to them, because I'm sure that there's still a lot of unfinished business out there between you and obviously High Power.
I'll let you take that one.
Yes, there is a lot of unfinished business when it comes to the Stompers and High Power. And I just want you to know, I don't want you to think just because of everything you've got going on, because what High Power is doing is they're biting off a little bit more than what they could possibly chew, you know? Choo like a
well, Santa actually goes through the choo-choo chimney, right? The choo-choo or the train was that Thomas the Tank Engine, I think, right? Santa doesn't go, it's a chimney, but the tank engine goes choo-choo.
It was, and on the fact I personally feel like they definitely bit off a little bit more than they could chew, because not only starting problems with us, there is, you know, they, at least if they think that there's people in the locker room that haven't seen the actions they've been going through and haven't been having words of themselves, they would be entirely wrong. Because when I said that we hear everything, I truly mean that we hear absolutely everything. Yeah. And I'm looking through this lens right now. I'm looking at this camera, and I'm hoping that High Power, you guys are on the other end. Taft, you too. The business with them Salisbury boys is not over. It is far from over. We will be seeing you down the line some point next year, and the outcome will not be the same. Because when you fight for what's right, you know, there could be some wrong.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to see. So conversely, I'll ask you this question then. I mean, is High Power standing in your guys' way specifically of further going up the ladder in DBW?
Could they potentially be staying in our way? I wouldn't be able. Yeah. Oh, I'm just glad that they'd be standing there and not down on one knee, with their arm going up like this for a low blow because that's how they want to play. That's why I believe that when it comes to that standard, when you had to go for that low blow because you were beneath us, it was the last. It was a freak accident. It was an absolute freak accident. If they are standing in our way, they won't be standing for much longer.
Well, I mean, but the results are what they are, though. I mean, you can't, we've talked about this with you before. I mean, the results are what they are, more or less. I mean, you can't change the fact that they've had the upper hand on you guys in DBW in multiple occasions.
Absolutely right. But there's going to be a point in time to where their dirty tricks and their antics are going to get the best of them.
They're going to come back and bite them.
They're going to come back and absolutely bite them.
They've had gold, though, in the case of the Stompers, and since the Stompers joined with Mr. Thomas Taft, they seem like they're on another level, though.
Yeah, they might be on another level. I mean, they did have them belts for about a cup of coffee.
They held them, though. You guys have it in DBW or even in EBW, frankly.
Exactly. That's the point. I can't undermine that. They have held the belts. They are former champions, which is why is even more of maybe it's the fact that they are in our way. Maybe we've known from the start that they are former champions and they are not to be played with. But then you just see the dirty tactics, and everyone's got a plan until they get hit in the balls.
Yeah.
Well, I had them on here, and they certainly made, to me, a really strong case about their future. You're here to talk about your future and where things go. I will agree with you on this, gentlemen, that I don't think you guys are done by a long shot. I think High Power and Chaos Conspiracy and Big Tex, obviously Big Tex, we saw what he did to Mr. T3 himself, and we're going to get Corey Graves' perspective on this next Sunday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to have more DBW coverage also in between that. The Brooklyn Prodigies are coming on here as well some point before the end of the year, and maybe even a bigger guest is going to be ahead later in the month. So stay tuned for all of that. Obviously, I want to ask you guys in this particular question. I'll let you guys both ask. Maybe I'll go to Jacob first. I mean, is there anything, Jacob, you want to say to anybody in particular that's in the locker room or anybody in particular that's watching you here the first time?
I'm going to send this one to Big Tex. Just keep doing what you're doing, bud. I remember. Could be time to change it.
Could be time to change it.
Give him what he wants, that spot. But I do see some big things in Big Tex's future.
Yeah?
Big things.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? I'll ask Corey Graves that question. I'll ask a lot about Big Tex next Sunday. So, to be determined. I got a good follow-up to this in kind of a way, conversely the other way around. You guys see any potential additions to High Power? Now, Jackson Saber, this came up in his spot. He said he was not going to join any groups. But, do you see anybody else out there that could potentially join High Power? And I would, by the way, stress when you do answer this, don't give them any ideas, because then all of a sudden they're going to go ask somebody in the locker room to join them, and the egg's going to be on both you guys. So, I mean, but what do you see on that?
I mean, there could potentially be additions to High Power. Could I think of anyone that wants to be, as scummy as them?
Nope.
Can I think of anyone that wants to go the route that they're taking to try to get this gold?
Nope.
No matter what other additions that High Power may have.
I don't know, Azrael, maybe another big man. I mean, that would be interesting, right? Add a big man to the group with the Stompers. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, right? I mean, because I don't want you guys, like I told you, if you say it, the egg's going to be on your face.
Absolutely. So, in a perspective, could I think of anybody that wants to stoop that low to join High Power? Because we didn't.
Nope.
We didn't. We had invitations to join High Power, and we didn't. And if you can't if you're not going to be with them, then you're going to be against them.
Well, I know who won't join the group. You ready? You want to laugh at least? Chase Wakefield ain't going to be joining.
No, I don't think he is for a long shot.
That I think everybody can agree upon. And Big Tech says that he can. I think he's saying he can, and maybe
not only can you will. You absolutely.
Ooh, well, you know what? I'm going to ask Mr. Graves his thoughts on that. And I'm going to ask his thoughts on you guys next Sunday, 9:00. Obviously, as we're coming up toward the end of the show, I'll have a few more things I want to ask, but I have to ask you a fun one because to break, again, the fourth, I keep using this term here, but I spoke about this with Jackson. So are you guys part of this Yu-Gi-Oh group or what? Everybody seems to be in the lot. Apparently, that's kind of the big one here. I think with Big Techs also this came up in. I mean, are you a part of this group that's challenging people for duels and playing Yu-Gi-Oh and other trading card games or what?
Fantasy football.
I would honestly say that I'm not.
Well, you didn't have a good fantasy football week this week because there's a lot of bad play in terms of scoring wise this week.
There definitely is.
It's been a horrible season for quarterbacks, by the way. This season for NFL quarterbacks, it's been, the play has been terrible. But, okay, but Mr. Tech says Chaos Conspiracy grows to 3.
Perfect.
So is this confirmation? Together. Are we getting confirmation live on Sportswire that Big Tex is the third man? Kind of like how Hogan was the third man in the NWO. Big Tex is the third man to Chaos Conspiracy. Is that what I'm hearing?
If that's what we are hearing, I'm for it. I absolutely 100%,
110%,
love it. And not only that, that would make Chaos grow by one more. So yes, there will be 3 in DBW, but altogether 4. Altogether, there's 4, and I'd hope that Chaos keeps growing and keeps.
Why not stop? I mean, why not go to 5, 6, 7?
We would offer you spot in Chaos Conspiracy. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if you want me
to make it 5 tonight.
I don't know if you want me, and you wouldn't have any chaos, though. I mean, you might as well. You have a better chance of asking Chase Wakefield to join Chaos Conspiracy.
Oh boy!
Justin Saber says I'm becoming Chaos's advocate. LOL. Yeah, I don't know if I would be the right advocate for you guys. I mean, Chase Wakefield would have better odds, I think, of really doing more for the group. Okay, we'll move on. Obviously, Chase Wakefield. So just to confirm, Chase Wakefield, you don't want to ask him to join Chaos Conspiracy? Is this a confirm or deny?
We're not asking him.
Okay.
It still hurts from them tables.
So if he wanted to somehow, for whatever reason, want to join, would you actually offer him a spot?
Potentially somewhere down the line, but I know that he's got bigger fish to fry.
I'll answer it here. I'll make people laugh. This reminds me of if you were on Twitter, and Bobby Heenan's last day on Raw, they actually showed him, and Gorilla Monsoon comes and picks him up at the end of the show, and they take all of his bags, all of his belongings, and they throw it out the door. I think if you guys had Chase Wakefield knocking on the door for you guys with his stuff, his Aaron shirts, his Aaron merchandise, you'd basically fling all that stuff out there wherever the DBW places are of management in the locker room, and just make sure he's never coming back and never joining your group. So obviously, I got that here. I got that.
I mean, he had left once, and
I'm still amazed he's in this company because he basically tried to take the Hub City title with him and go to another promotion. I mean, I'm like amazed that he's still here with a straight face almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's more or less the fact of management. It's the funny thing with management. Could they have tossed him an offer or tossed him a bone that he couldn't refuse? That because he was really keen on taking that Hub City Championship to VTW and never returning. And now
I don't think that was right though, because I mean, I had him on here when he was threatening to do that. I literally had him on right before that. And there is a code of honor in this sport. That if you're a champion in a promotion and if you're going to want to leave that promotion, you kind of do the honors in business to let that promotion have their title and not hold it hostage. I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, whether you think Bret Hart was right or wrong, he was going to take that title, the WWF title he held, to another promotion. You could have made that argument. Medusa, certainly, Jeff Jarrett years ago when he was the Intercontinental Champion. So I kind of think from the business side of it, because I am in the business end on Sportswire, that I would think the right way to go about things would be to kind of do the honors, especially in a company like DBW that gave Chase Wakefield so much. But that's obviously his call. But I want to move away from that because I have Big Tex wants to announce here. Consider this a yes. You gentlemen, along with Graves, saw something in me and have had my back since So Damn Right Chaos will continue to grow. Just call me the bad luck fail of chaos. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it live on Sportswire Radio. The third man of Chaos Conspiracy is none other than Mr. Big Tex. He is that third man to add the size, the strength, to add that overall space that gives Chaos Conspiracy the opportunity, just maybe, to grow even further in DBW in 2024. So there you have it. Congratulations.
What a time to be alive, baby. What a time to be alive. Now, with that being said, when the question gets asked to Graves, maybe we get a package deal.
Maybe. We might get a package deal.
For anyone that's for, if you're still wondering what the plans are.
Well, next Sunday, listen, thank you for the segue. Next Sunday, I'm asking him that same question. In fact, do you want me to lead off with that? Do you want me to just wait? I mean, I don't know, but I'm going to ask it.
Listen, Graves is a man, from what I've seen, is a man of very high self-respect. I definitely that should be something you definitely ask when you begin to talk to him, because I just want to know what goes on in his head. With everything going on and with us becoming good friends with Big Tex, I want Graves to know that the arm is also extended out to him. We weren't trying to, come in between him and Big Tex and what they have going on, because those are two guys that had our back, and even the odds, and hell, if we could do that all together, the whole plan could be even more complex than what it could be. It could most certainly be a divide and conquer type plan, because in Chaos we're all the table. We're all the table, and what we bring to the table, just your plate's already here for you at the table. Everyone eats.
Well, you know what? We're going to find out if there's more seats at the table, because we will see potentially next Sunday, 9 o'clock Eastern time, if there'll be a fourth man at that table, because we just heard shortly a time ago that a third man is joining Chaos Conspiracy. His name is Big Tex. He is the big man of DBW. He has confirmed it here on Sportswire Radio that he is joining Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy, the prodigal son, Jacob Cassidy, and the Bone Shaker himself, Robert Pearson, to even the odds up here a little bit for Chaos Conspiracy and to add some more chaos, some more flavor. We'll see if Mr. Corey Graves becomes that fourth man and really, really makes things even further interesting and makes things even further to be a big year in 2024 for Chaos Conspiracy, and more reasons why, if you want to support DBW and watch them on all their great platforms, you need to do so on Facebook at Dominating Backyard Wrestling, YouTube at Dominating Breakout Wrestling. Over 3,500 people have subscribed to the channel and watched great content like World War, Danger Zone, Thursday Night Thunder Punch episode shows, and Twitter at DBW Wrestling. Also, if you want to check the guys out here on their pages, you have the opportunity to do that on a number of different ways. First of all, on YouTube at Chaos Conspiracy Too Damn Good, Robert Pearson on Instagram at The Bone Shaker, Jacob Cassidy at official_Jacob_Cassidy, and if you want to buy Conspiracy shirt, not a Chase Wakefield one, you go to bonfire.com/store/chaos-conspiracy. So make sure you go out there and support these guys and support what they're doing. We'll have more DBW coverage again with Corey Graves, DBG Saturday, and even stay tuned for further coverage ahead. And I have a few more comments. Too damn good. Hashtag. Could they be too damn good? If Corey Graves joins up with Chaos Conspiracy, they might be too damn good. They very well could be. Listen, Divinity, the Heretics, could be the Stompers, High Power, Ego. Move on over because it could very well be too damn good for Chaos Conspiracy to kind of seep in that lane and maybe, just maybe, try to capture some gold in 2024. He is a big man, but he is not the big man yet. We'll have to stay tuned. Gentlemen, I could ask you a lot, but I want to know, is there anything else that you would like to say to the people? Obviously, I know that there's a magazine out there that's ranking you guys. It's Kings and Queens magazine. I'm starting to see that out there. I mean, I'm starting to see that you guys are appearing in different places coming ahead. But is there anything else that we should know before we get into closing thoughts from you guys?
With the rankings,
I think I would like to bring up because I think the rankings, we're starting to see VTW, DBW stars, and does that mean something to you guys to be ranked? Everybody talks about the PWI 500, and one of our favorites on Sportswire is Vito Fratelli, who was ranked number 390 this year in it. I mean, would you guys want to be moving up in these rankings? These obviously rankings from a well-respected magazine that's covering our scene of wrestling. Is that something you guys want to be further in those rankings?
Not only do we want to, I feel as if we definitely will. Just we're gonna keep on keeping on, and keep up the good work, because it does pay off and show, and it definitely is an honor to be on these lists with, certain types of tag teams and certain types of individuals who have established themselves, and keep on growing, keep on going up in their rankings as well. So it is definitely something that is like there's a lot of pride in it, and we just want to keep on because we owe it to the fans, we owe it to everyone that watches. At one point they could say, hey, I know this guy and he's certain number ranking on this list.
Hey, listen, the PWI 500. I mean, obviously we're all wrestling fans. You guys are wrestling. I mean, I always looked forward to knowing who's on the PWI 500, and I think obviously Vito Fratelli has been a friend of mine for a year, and he's ranked in the list. I mean, he's like ranked. He's physically ranked, and you guys in this magazine, which kind of is for our scene, if you want to call it semi-pro, underground, backyard, I don't know what you want to call it at this point. I like to call it all wrestling because at the end of the day,
exactly.
I'm tired of the labels. I made that rant. If you want to chime in on that before closing thoughts, I'll let you guys both do that. But the facts is that anytime you have something that's giving people a place to look at, I compare it almost like there's a thing called the Billboard 200, which is for the albums at the 200 highest selling albums in the United States. And I think that in a lot of ways, this would be something you guys would want to be on because it gives our scene an opportunity to say, you know what? Who's the best? Who is the best? And now we have something that physically could rank all of that. I don't know.
No, that's definitely true. I mean, you're on the rankings as well. Is there anything you'd like to say about it?
With the rankings, it basically shows that our work is actually being looked at. There's a lot of people on that list.
Some great talent. I mean, I looked at the list and I was like, wow. I mean, it was like a really, and I think in some ways, guys, that list is more in depth than the PWI 500 because a lot of the people in the PWI 500, all they have to do is watch WWE and AEW. That's half the list right there. I mean, or Japan. Okay, Japan. Let's go Japan, AEW, WWE, Impact. Okay, you sprinkle in maybe the rest of the list, fine. But this list, I think, was really well thought out of.
Yeah, there's a lot more like different companies, not just only your selective few.
Right. It's companies that they go out there and there's a product that they're putting on that somebody's watching and arbitrarily saying, you know what? I think that person should be on that list. I think that person really, their body of work is respected. It's not as if like you're going out there, and I think, before we get to closing thoughts, that it shows that your work is being respected and you're not being put down as somebody that's just not an independent or a professional wrestler. And I think that this is really a feat that I hope that more people on this show find out more about. And I hope that more people on this show get put on the list as well, if I could say so.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We want to see everyone succeed and we want to see everyone eat,
Amen. Amen to that. But we'll certainly see. Obviously, a lot to get into. We have a lot to talk about here with the future of Chaos Conspiracy. I want to break it one more time here for those that are listening and watching. The third member, the newest man, the third man is Big Tex, the big man of DBW. Tuesday's guest on Sportswire Radio. Next Sunday, 9 o'clock in your chair, we're going to hear from Corey Graves. He's going to tell us if he's going to accept and become the fourth member. So a lot more DBW coverage is ahead. You can follow DBW and all those great platforms. Chaos Conspiracy also in the links above. Gentlemen, I could ask you a lot more questions, but I realize that you guys have to get ready for DBW shows, EBW shows, maybe to get higher in the rankings in the Kings and Queens magazine. Maybe Chase Wakefield merchandise to buy. Only kidding about the last part. But obviously, I want to give you guys now the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And I thank you guys for the opportunity. I'm going to go first with Jacob Cassidy. Jacob, it's been a great honor. And I'm looking forward to obviously having you here many more times ahead on Sportswire. And anything else you might want to share or say, be my guest.
Let it all out.
If you guys want to see the EBW matches, that channel is what? Forever EBW?
Yes.
EBW, is it EBW Pro Wrestling? So it's is it EBW Pro Wrestling? I think is one page, and the other one is
Forever EBW.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Yes, that's where you can see more of our faces at, more of our matches, more of our content. Go on, bro.
Can't think of it.
Well, we want people to follow you. We can do that on official_Jacob_Cassidy. We'll certainly be watching you out there, especially in EBW. We'll especially be watching you here, definitely in DBW, because a lot more DBW shows are ahead, and we're going to have DBW Thunder Punch episode shows coming up here very, very soon. And I also want to say hello again, now that she hears it before your closing thoughts, is my very lovely friend, Miss Zena, who said she was having internet issues. Maybe she was having issues of watching me talk about chaos conspiracies and Chase Wakefield joining the group, or maybe she just was bored about the fact that Chase Wakefield was being mentioned. And I'm only kidding, but she's definitely here, a very, very lovely friend, and she says she's back like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that's why she's here, because she knows, again, that Chaos Conspiracy has a lot to say, and we now have a third member of Chaos Conspiracy who she likes a lot in Big Tex. He's the third man, kind of like how Hulk Hogan was the third man in the NWO. Mr. Big Tex is the third man of Chaos Conspiracy. So you didn't miss anything, Zena, other than the fact that I was going to buy you some Chase Wakefield I Love Aaron Jones merchandise. I'm only kidding. Wasn't going to do that. That's going to buy you a Chaos Conspiracy shirt on bonfire.com/store/ Chaos Conspiracy. So be that as it may. Thank you for joining us, our beautiful friend. But Mr. Pearson, happy birthday once again. Want to give you the floor. Want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? You know the drill. You've been here before. We'll definitely have you guys back on in 2024. So be my guest.
I want to start off with speaking for both members. Well, for Chaos Conspiracy, we're really grateful and really appreciate the fact that you had us on. Just absolute bow down. Thank you. I also want to say to anybody out there that if you're struggling with something, it's about that time. It's the end of the year. Holidays are around the corner. This is the time where you're supposed to spend the most amount of time with your family. And sometimes in life, there comes a point to where maybe you can't spend certain time with with certain people and everything like that.
Well, don't feel too bad. Xena doesn't want to spend any time with me, so obviously, hey.
On the on the just on the note of someone who one of the comments I seen earlier, she gave a couple of comments with Sav Queenie.
Yes, Saf Queenie, very early in the show. Correct. Big supporter of you guys. Absolutely.
She's a definitely big supporter of us. Very important person to me. And during this time, I can't be around to be around you and to see you, but I just wanted to send out some love and to thank you for supporting and thank you for loving the way that you do. And also to any family of ours that were watching. I hope we're making you proud. We're going to keep doing our thing, keep kicking butt, keep showing up on this super epic, awesome Sportswire radio.
I appreciate the Sportswire shout out. I mean, I know obviously we speak about you guys like, well, they're doing it the right way. Are they getting gold? And are they going to do it the way that maybe some other people say they shouldn't do it or should do it? But obviously, I do appreciate the plugs on Sportswire because obviously I really appreciate the fact I don't want to say the wrestler. There was a pro wrestler. In this case, he's a good one. He messaged me on Facebook yesterday. He says, I just want to say something to you. I'm like, okay, what did he hear about me ranting about somebody in the independent scene? He goes, you're doing a great job. I can't wait to come on your show. I don't want to say who it was just yet, but he thanked me. He's like, I've been watching you a while. I know you've been at this a long time. And, thank you for all you do, for shining the light on all the different wrestlers. I had another wrestler message me right afterwards, said, thank you for what you do for the backyard scene. Thank you for what you do for the undergrounders. So I appreciate that. Definitely the check is in the mail for sure. Definitely listen, make sure that you support these guys here and everybody else out there, especially DBW, all their platforms. Yes, if you want to support me, sportswireradio.org, Tumblr, Sportswire Radio, also Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams. Check out all the past, present, and future shows. And again, Hardcore tomorrow night. Hardcore is going up against Jimmy Controversy. And by the way, the Brooklyn Prodigies, like I said, they're in the same company as Jimmy Controversy. That's going to be a real good one there. And obviously, the lovely Xena is very mad at me about what I said. But she definitely wants to give me a lump of coal for Christmas. She'll probably give it to me anyway. But hey, I'm the one that has the mic. I'm the one that has the basically the bully pulpit. So I am the man here on Sportswire. So if somebody does want to replace me, maybe it's DVG, maybe Chase Wakefield does, Omen Black, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Taylor Swift. You're going to have to take it from me. You're going to have to take it from my cold, dead hands. But that's here nor there. Only kidding. Only kidding. Gentlemen, I want to wish you guys a very happy holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Three Kings Day, Happy Festivus, and everything else in a bag of chips like Downtown Julie Brown used to say. Also, Happy New Year. And we're really looking forward to having you guys back on again in 2024. And I'm really looking forward to the future of you guys, and especially now that we know there's a third member of Chaos Conspiracy, and maybe next Sunday we'll have a fourth one. And also stay tuned later in the week on Sportswire for maybe another guest coming on in DBW that same day that might have a little bit of a blaze to his name. So you might want to stay tuned for that announcement here. So 2 for the price of 1. Yeah, nobody does 2 for the price of 1 like yours truly.
Little twofer.
I try. Let's see how my voice holds up. Then in that case, you really might want to take the microphone from me because I might not be able to speak. So in that case, if I don't have a voice, then somebody may actually have to do that. And Xena wants to remind me of Mariah Carey. Yes, Mariah Carey, it's her season. Yes, she could maybe take the microphone. I'm sure more men would want to look at Mariah Carey more than my mutton chops or my long hair. I might want to look at Mariah Carey, but I'm going to just have to look at you instead, Xena, because I know that you certainly are a big Mariah Carey fan, but you might be a little bit more attractive than Mariah Carey. So that's certainly a big thing. And also, maybe 5 with EJ Rodriguez. So maybe 5, so maybe I'll have to ask him in 2024 that same question. So he can get in touch with me. Instagram, The Sports Report 2021. YouTube, Sportswire Radio 6579, backspace streams, and get in touch with me. If you want to ask that question, I'll ask it for you. If you want it, I'll ask it about you being in DBW, the 5th man, potentially, in Chaos Conspiracy. Right now we're at 3. We'll see by next week we'll have 4. And Ron, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to you being back with me tomorrow night. Gentlemen, again, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, everything else, like I said, in a bag of chips. And I'm really looking forward to the future in 2024 with you guys. I know you guys won't be strangers. I know I'll be talking with you guys. I know you'll be in the chat next Sunday with Mr. Corey Graves on whether he accepts your offer of him being the fourth member of Chaos Conspiracy. So thank you so much, fellas.
Absolutely, and I vow at some point next year, you will be seeing Chaos Conspiracy back on here with some gold. With some gold. I promise. That is a promise and a guarantee.
Well, you better be good at these guarantees. You know, famously, there was a basketball player from the New York Knicks named Patrick Ewing, and one day, well, and with this, one day the New York press had asked, because he was playing against the Orlando Magic at the time, with Shaquille O'Neal. Obviously Shaquille O'Neal, and he had a lot of problems with the Orlando Magic. So he went to the press and said, "You know what? I'm guaranteeing victory when we play the Orlando Magic." So he goes out there and plays the Magic, and it was on national TV. It was on NBC. It was, I was a little kid, and I never forget this. Obviously, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I was a Knicks fan, and he had a terrible game. He hit the bed, put the S in front of the hit, and the Magic kicked his butt. And he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm never guaranteeing again." So hopefully your guarantee will be better than Patrick Ewing's, and you guys will have some gold. Or for our football fans, hopefully you do a little bit better than Patrick Mahomes is doing right now. Because if you got Patrick Mahomes in your fantasy team right now, you definitely are really hoping that he has better luck right now. Maybe Taylor should stop playing Chiefs games. But I don't want the Swifties to come after me, because I'm sure right now a whole bunch of independent pro wrestlers want to kill me right now. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But hopefully your fantasy football teams are better right now next week than it is this week. But obviously, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio, the #1 global radio station. We were joined by Chaos Conspiracies, the Bone Shaker, Robert Pearson. Again, happy birthday to you once again. And also the prodigal son, Jacob Cassidy. You can follow these guys on these different platforms. And we also heard the fact that the third member now of Chaos Conspiracy is Big Tex. We'll find out next Sunday, 9 o'clock Eastern time, with Corey Graves will be the fourth member. And again, if you're on Sportswire Radio, all of our platforms, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming on sportswireradio.org. And if you're on YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and also on sportswireradio.org, again, we have hardcore at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So be there or be square. But until then, happy holidays to you guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the #1 global radio station that is Sportswire Radio. Thank you and have a good night.